In a galaxy far, far away, where the stars do not just shine, but actively turn on and off their night lights, there lived a young glurb named Zorb. He was not just a glurb, but also an engineer, which, believe me, is no joke. In his home galaxy, being an engineer meant you could assemble ships without losing a single nut, and you could fix things without using instructions, which was actually a very important skill in the Grax galaxy. Zorb was proud of his work, but here was the trouble. Despite all his accomplishments, he was a human, or rather, an alien, with a great imagination, which sometimes led to very strange decisions. One day Zorb thought, well, can't all these lands where humans live be so uninteresting? Why not go to Earth and make contact with them? And then it hit him. What better way to connect with people than to give them dumplings? Yes, dumplings. Earthlings love food, and dumplings were rumored to be not just food, but a sacred ritual. Zorb decided it would be the surest way to any Earthling's heart. Gathering his crew, Fika and Trock, Zorb began to prepare for his great adventure. Their ship was certainly not the newest. In fact, it looked more like a giant metal pot, with some strange gadgets dangling from the sides. But the main thing wasn't how the ship looked, it was that it had to fulfill its function. And they also decided that they had to land in the very center of the city, to impress the Earthlings as much as possible. On the way to Earth, however, one problem arose: the navigation system, which the Glurbs had long forgotten to update, had malfunctioned. And so, instead of landing in a large metropolis, the ship rumbled right down to the dacha of Golly's grandmother, who, by the way, at that moment, was just preparing pickled cucumbers and grumbling at her chickens. At the moment of landing, Grandma Galia was not even afraid. She just glanced out the window, reached for a jar of jam, and said to herself, "Ah, the neighbors are up to some nonsense again. Hey, chicken, don't go near that strange metal monster, or I won't give you any fried dumplings." Zorb, who wasn't sure how alien visits were treated on Earth, decided to get out first, so as not to embarrass his comrades. He carefully opened the ship's hatch and stepped onto the ground. There was a second's silence. Then Grandma Galia, quietly exhaling, got up from the bench, went to the window and said, "Oh, these again. What are you going to do? Can't you see I'm harvesting here?" And then, suddenly, the ship was approached by Trock, who, apparently, was a little confused about where the entrance was, and tried to get into the house through the attic, getting stuck between two roofs and tangled in the wires. "Friends, don't worry," said Zorb, trying to manage the situation. "We come in peace. We are aliens, and we want to establish friendly relations with you. We have dumplings." Judging by the look on Grandma's face, she didn't immediately realize what had happened. She looked at Zorb, then at his companions, and then at her chicken, which continued to peck something in the garden. And suddenly Grandma Galia said, "Well, all right. Come out of this, monster. Don't make me laugh. I won't feed you. But if you have dumplings, come in, I'll try." Zorb and his team dazedly entered the house. It was warm and cozy inside, but smelled of sauerkraut and peas. In the kitchen was a huge samovar, near which water was always boiling. Golly had a whole collection of pots from which she cooked borscht, solyanka, and dumplings. "Well, let's have your miracle dumplings," said Galia, seating the guests at the table. "And I'm here with potatoes, and you're telling me about space. I've heard how all of you there with the garden and planets negotiate. But let's have dumplings." Zorb and his friends realized that they needed to turn on all their cosmic creativity to not only please Grandma Gala, but also to avoid being captured by her dumplings and borscht. And so, before long, they began laying out their incredible alien dumpling technology, which in their world was considered incredibly complicated. "You see, Grandma, our dumplings aren't just dumplings. They are a culinary masterpiece that develops all the cells in the body," said Trock, who really just didn't know what to say. Galia looked at them and laughed. Aha, develops the cells of the body, you say? Well, come on. I'll print you all in these dumplings of yours. But then Fika couldn't stand it, and jumping up on her chair, proposed. And do you want, Grandma? We'll show you how these dumplings can also fly? Fly? Galia was surprised. I'll show you now how my dumplings in the pot will not drown. They, by the way, do not fly, but they are always good for dinner. The Glurbs, not confused, resolutely took a couple of dumplings and began to heat them on their space stove, assuring everyone that these are not the same dumplings that are cooked on Earth. However, their plans went awry. By the time they had heated the dumplings, Grandma Galia herself, convinced that the dumplings were not such strange things, started her own little secret. Soon everyone, including Zorb and his crew, was sitting around the table enjoying the dumplings. And what was most surprising, even the Glurbs, whose stomachs were tuned to intergalactic food, could not deny that the dumplings were delicious. Well, said Grandma Galia, I won't say that you were aliens. But for the galaxy, you guys are masters of dumplings. Zorb breathed a sigh of relief and finally realized that maybe Earth wasn't such a bad place. Next time, he promised himself not to look to alien technology for the perfect dumplings. And when asked why they didn't do some real intergalactic research, he just shrugged and said, Look, how about on the next mission we try borscht? So, thanks to Grandma Gala and her dumplings, the aliens learned an important lesson. Sometimes you don't need to bring weapons or superpowers to conquer Earth at all. Sometimes just dumplings are enough.